What is up, you guys? It's your favorite cutie, Tati, and this is another installment of Talking with Tati. Today's topic is going to be about religion and why I'm not religious and what brought me to this point and the things that I feel like my ideas have evolved since I have decided that I wasn't religious, which I think it's been it's definitely been over 5 years since I've just decided, no, religion isn't for me. It's not my vibe. It's not my cup of tea. And a lot of people might be surprised to hear this that know me from yay high or whatever, just because I was actually born into like a Baptist Christian family, like most black people are these days. I grew up in the church. I even went to church school where through elementary I was in it was a school slash it was a Christian school. We had to wear uniforms and all of that, and we had our Bible study and all of that jazz. And even a lot of my dad's side of the family especially is still deeply, deeply religious, which is why sometimes I just feel like, I don't know, in the past I felt other because I just know I don't have the same values anymore, and I think it's apparent in the way that I live my life, in the way that I raise my child and everything. So let's get into it. So why am I not religious? I'm not religious because I feel like, at least for me, it hasn't been the best experience. I am grateful that I was raised to be Christian, which might sound weird, just because I feel like it did give me a base starter kit for morality and giving me a direction. And I feel like the greatest thing that I got out of religion was faith. But I feel like faith you can still have faith outside of religion, which is how I live my life. Faith and manifestation and being able to put my desires out into the universe and all of that stuff. That's kind of like my tea, my vibe. Let me refer to my notes. Okay, so when I was a kid, I remember asking questions because I was exposed to church a lot more than most people, just because I wasn't just going on Sundays. I also went to school where I went to church. So I remember one day just thinking okay, so if I'm here and my parents brought me into this religion and I was born into this, what happens to another little girl whose parents raised her to be Muslim or, have just a different faith, maybe a Buddhism or whatever? What happens to those people who also are being raised up to believe that, their God is the only God and their way is the only way? What happens to those people? And I remember feeling very uneasy about the feeling of thinking that, okay, just because I happen to be born Christian, that I was going to be saved, and the other people who were raised the same way, but just with a different religion, so they also would probably have the same convictions that I would have, that, their God and their religion is the way. We're going to hell. That was very problematic to me from the jump. So I remember just having a feeling about that, but being so young, I wasn't able to fully think through, or make a choice for myself to be this isn't for me. I just remember being young. I was maybe 7, no older than 10 or 12, where I had these thoughts, and I'm just something about that doesn't sit right with me. And then it just also was a thing of where it's just in a lot of churches, they don't like you to ask too many questions because they know that they can't answer all of the questions. And I feel like, me personally, I'd rather exist with the truth that maybe we just don't know everything. And maybe God, whatever God is, the universe is maybe just so profound that us as a lesser version of whatever that is, we can't even compute or even begin to fathom what God actually is and why we're actually here. And having peace with that has made me feel a lot better, because it's very uneasy when you feel like you can't ask questions and get answers, but then you have all these rules that are associated with being a Christian. Another thing that brought me to this place is, obviously, I'm a womanist. You guys see the topics that I have on my channel, and religion really oppresses women, and whether you want to believe that or not, it's up to you. I'm not here to convince anybody. I'm not here to convert anybody to anything. I'm just saying from my observations and from what's written in to the Bible, which is a lot of those are man-made stories, emphasis on man-made, and it just puts women in a space where I don't want to be. I want to live a free life. I like being able to live and thrive and explore myself and live this life to the fullest without having to feel like I have to be attached to a man or be married or, just have all this shame. There's so much shame that is put on women, whether they understand it or know it or not, in religion. And it's just like freeing myself from that has been the best thing. I remember being in middle school, literally like in middle school. I was a good kid for the most part. I didn't do anything that was horrible, but I remember being in middle school and just being so terrified all the time that I was going to hell. I was so terrified. I was so scared. And that fear was eating me up. The shame and the fear that was inside of me, and thinking already that before my life truly had even begun was over and that I was doomed to hellfire was crazy. And I'm so thankful to myself for being okay with being able to let this go as an adult. So when I moved out of my grandma's home when I was leaving high school or whatever, or my dad's home, excuse me, I just remember feeling like once I got to Atlanta, I felt a breath of fresh air, because for the first time ever, I was able to kind of question, what do I believe outside of what my family has taught me? Out of the structure and the systems that I've been brought up in the indoctrinations that I've been brought up in, what do I actually feel? What do I actually believe? And going to Atlanta actually exposed me to so much spiritualism that I hadn't been privy to previously, and just being able to explore freely and learn about new culture and other ways of being was so freeing to me. And through that, and not shaming myself about that, because I didn't have anybody to impress or to prove myself to, or to keep showing up to a church because I live in the same city as all my family and stuff. Because I didn't have that pressure, I was able to evolve and distance myself from it enough to where I could choose it or not choose it for myself, and I chose not to choose it. And I feel like I am so much happier. I'm a brighter being, and I'm able to explore my sexuality. I'm able to express myself in ways that I wouldn't have if I would have stayed on the path that I was intended to go on. So I just feel so free, and I'm just happy about it. Okay, let's see what else we have on here. Another thing that bothered me about Christianity is, first of all, how they made Jesus white. And then just thinking about the history of my people, of how we even got here, and how Christianity was basically forced and beaten onto my people. That doesn't sit right with me. It doesn't give that it was a choice. It doesn't give that my lineage freely chose this path and genuinely believed in this path. It probably became more of a coping mechanism than anything, being a slave and having to have faith in something. However, the way that we even got here was problematic. Okay, so that alone, I'm just like, no, I don't believe that my ancestors would have wanted this for me. And I don't believe that when I call out to God, that the face of God is always going to be a white man, a white male. And just think about what that does to a psyche as somebody who's not white or male. It's just crazy. And we could get deeper into this if you guys want to, but I'm just going to end it there. Those are my main reasons. Let's pull a card, okay? Quickly. Do it for yourself. Affirmation: I am worthy of happiness under my own accord. Yes. Reminder: I can try new things, even if it means doing them alone. That includes religion. Practice: pick up a new hobby you have been thinking about and try, and don't tell anybody about it yet. Follow me on Your Name is Tati everywhere, and also It's the Tati Show, because It's the Tati Show is about to debut. Love you guys so much. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Follow me if you want to. Subscribe. Hype the video. Leave me a comment down below. Okay?